Good morning, everybody. Happy 4th of July. I hope you all have wonderful things planned with family and friends today to celebrate the wonderful Day of Independence for the United States of America. Lots going on today. I've actually pre-recorded this yesterday, July 3rd. As you can tell, I have my same shirt on from July 2nd, from July 3rd when I did my live podcast, but got a lot of campaign events that I have to be at to interact with my constituents here in LD9 in Arizona. I'm running for Arizona State Representative and got to get out there and talk to the people. So I thought I'll go ahead and pre-record this. We have something fresh and new for today. Yesterday, I had a wonderful angel mom, Wendy Corcoran from Tennessee on, and she spoke about the death of her son, Pierce, in 2018. Now, and we talked a lot about this, that as angel moms, mothers of victims of illegal alien crime in our country, we came forward and we were very, very thankful for President Trump, who actually gave us a platform to tell our stories and to give out some warning calls. And that's exactly what the reasoning is behind all of us coming up and speaking out. None of us angel moms, angel families, none of us want any of you to ever experience what we've had to go through. And there is a, argument on the other side. My son was killed by a 3-time legal limit drunk and high on meth illegal. And that was a lot of deaths back prior to President Trump's presidency. That's how a lot of the angel moms and angel families, children and loved ones were killed. However, what we're seeing is an increase now with the flood of illegals coming into our country with this invasion. What we're seeing is more heinous crimes being committed. And we've seen a lot in the past few weeks. And I've seen even more than you will ever imagine, because I get the articles from the obscure publications and the media sources, videos, articles, interviews, those types of things. There is a lot of rape that illegals are committing against American women and children, and murder. A lot of this isn't publicized. You're not being made aware of everything that's going on. There's big, grandiose stories that the media has to do something about because of the outcry from the communities when this happens. Rachel Morin happens to be one of them that was in the news in the last couple of weeks, a mother of 5. And she was raped and killed by an illegal. And thank goodness he has been caught. But I've been put in contact with Rachel's brother, and I'm hoping to have him on my podcast next week so that we can talk about something that is recent. And I want my listeners to understand and feel the grief and the pain that comes with something like this. This is so unexpected. And a lot of people say it could have been an American. It could have been an American citizen who drove drunk and was high on meth and killed your son. Absolutely right. I don't dispute that. It could have been an American citizen who raped and killed Rachel Morin. Absolutely, don't dispute that. But the reality is it wasn't. These are illegal criminals that are in our country. And I want you to understand the word illegal has ramifications. It means that they have done something illegal. That means against our laws in the United States in order to commit those crimes. They wouldn't have been here had they followed the protocol of coming into our country legally. And I don't mean the way that the Biden administration has been allowing these people to come in, and Mayorkas, the treasonous pig Mayorkas. We have not been allowing these people into our country legally. They're doing behind the scenes nefarious things. And this phone app that Mayorkas has put together through the Department of Homeland Security, and people get on that phone app and they fill out their claim for asylum, and the app says, go to a port of entry. And they show up at a port of entry. They show them their phone. They're like, okay, go on through. That's it. There's no other form of vetting or anything. This is how easy and against the law that Mayorkas has made it in order for these illegals to gain access to our country. Those numbers, folks, are not included in the people who come to the border without the phone app filled out, show up at the port of entry, and are given access to the country because they're claiming asylum. Those are the numbers that Biden talked about being at 2,500 a day for 5 days in a row, and then they'd shut down the border. Well, it's been well over that. They haven't done anything about shutting down the border. But what I'm telling you is those are the only numbers that they're recording for the 2,500 a day. It's not all the people who filled out the app on the phone and just get to come to the port of entry and say, I have permission. Okay, go through. You're not counted in our 2,500 for the day. So recently, well, in the past couple of days, Mayorkas went down to Panama, and let me pull this up. He went down to Panama because what they're trying to do down there is the president of Panama, Jose Raul Molino, announced it'll be a priority with his administration in the face of the serious humanitarian crisis in the area to close access to the Darien Gap Dam. So, of course, Mayorkas is down there, but, look at this photo. You can tell by his face. You can just look at him and know that he's a snake, right? The communication office of the Panamanian presidency reported that the agreement was signed by the foreign minister, Javier Martinez, and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, who heads the U.S. delegation that participated in the new president's inauguration down there. It is important to note that with the signing of this agreement, the U.S. government undertakes to cover the expense of the repatriation of the immigrants who enter illegally through the Darien Gap. Support Panama with equipment, transportation, and logistics of foreigners detected within the migratory flows in contravention of Panama's immigration laws, hereinafter irregular migratory flows, who will be subject to migratory administrative measures in accordance with Panamanian law, reads the memorandum of understanding signed by the United States. I don't know why I'm having a problem announcing things or repeating things. Meanwhile, Panama committed to the agreement to comply with all international agreements and conventions on the rights of immigrants and those with refugee status. The Panama president has reiterated that he is committed to resolving the Darien crisis and ending the illegal business of human trafficking. So what you have to do when you're reading this sort of article and you think, oh, great, they're closing the Darien Gap. They're not going to let these people come through. Panama committed in the agreement to comply with all international agreements and conventions on the rights of immigrants and those with refugee status. Now, know that when those kind of words are used, that means so any type of thing that Mayorkas has going on, like if they filled out the phone app and it says, okay, you have permission to come into the United States, that's something that will overlook those migrants. The United Nations is involved big time. There's international agreements and those sort of things with the United Nations to let the migratory flow go naturally and create open borders and let these people go where they want to go. So is this going to stop the amount of people coming up through the Darien Gap? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Are they shutting it down completely? I don't know. And now the United States has said, okay, we agree that we're going to fund all of this. That's you and I, folks. We're the ones funding this. We're going to be flying these people home to the countries that they've come from. We're going to be helping out with equipment that you need. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of equipment goes down there. Is it going to be something to make the Darien Gap more passable, to build more bridges, like the United Nations is doing over that river where these illegals pay these longboat operators, they get on the boats and they take them across the river so that they can get to the entrance of the Darien Gap. Now the United Nations is down there building a bridge so that these people don't have to get in boats, and they can make it more efficient. They just all walk over the bridge and go to the entrance of the Darien Gap and, purchase their ticket, and they're on their way to the United States, right? Basically, it's like a Disneyland ride. Although the journey itself is so dangerous, and especially to women and children, because of the sickening individuals that are among those smuggling groups who take advantage of them sexually, and then latch onto them and demand more and more money from them once they are so far into this journey, and these smugglers are demanding more money from them. They have no other options but to say, okay. And if their families back home don't have the money, well, then these females will be taken into sexual trafficking. Once they get to the United States, they'll be sent to whoever is up here already running those types of organizations. And that's what will happen to them. Let me see. That one we can get rid of. That one we can get rid of. So, I've talked about the Venezuelan gang many, many times with you guys and their heavy presence here in the United States. And the New York PD has warned of a growing Venezuelan gang presence in New York City. Let me play this video for you. We got a little commercial that we're going to have to go through before we can get to that. But once this is over.
Violent crime among Venezuelan gang members in the city who have gotten into New York.
Fox 8's Linda Schmidt talked to the NYPD, who says this crime wave is one of their greatest challenges. She joins us live from the newsroom now. Linda, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, basically what you just said right there, this is one of the NYPD's biggest challenges right now. Now, the NYPD expects the migrant Venezuelan gang crimes to actually get worse in this city before it gets better.
They're waving the guns around.
Correct.
Waving guns and flashing gang signs on this video. The NYPD says these are suspected members of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then, when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector.
Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is escalating, and now drugs are coming into the picture.
We're just starting to see a drug called Tusi, which is a pink cocaine type substance.
It seems like this is a huge challenge.
It's as big of a challenge as we faced.
The NYPD has faced difficult challenges in the past and is determined to win this fight to keep New Yorkers safe.
We're having success. We're taking down networks of individuals. We're up to the task and we'll accomplish it.
Now, today, I also reached out to City Hall about security and metal detectors at the city-run migrant shelters, and I asked them why food containers are not being screened for possible weapons or drugs. Now, I was told those items are supposed to be screened every single time. And now the city is now retraining security personnel at all city-run migrant shelters. Natasha, Teresa, back upstairs to you.
All right, Linda, thank you.
So they're going to constantly find ways to skirt the law, to get around, to getting these guns into places where they don't belong, in the hands of illegal criminals who are here. They are not allowed to, sorry. Turn that off. Sorry about that. They're not allowed to have guns in the United States, these illegal criminals who are here, but they will find ways to get guns. And this is why the Second Amendment is such a huge thing right now in gun rights that a lot of these liberal politicians are trying to take away from us. When you've got a gang like this from Venezuela who really doesn't care about the laws and the people of the United States, and especially the cops there in New York City, that they're training their new recruits to kill New York City cops. This is why it's so important that each and every one of us are able, if we want, to carry a gun for our protection, to stop something that we may see around us. And how many videos do you see of like convenience stores and different things where these, criminals come in with a gun, they're holding up the place, and you've got a U.S. citizen who's carrying, who's able to stop the situation? How many of those types of situations would have gone bad, and how many people would have ultimately been killed in those robberies if the American citizen who was carrying wasn't able to stop them? It's things you gotta think about, because you don't just get to make it's our constitutional right. And so you've got these liberals who want to actually scare you into thinking that these guns in the wrong hands, and it's usually mentally unfit people who have them. Yeah, we need to stop them from being able to access a gun. But the majority, the heavy majority of the people of the United States who are gun owners are responsible citizens. And we shouldn't be able to stop that from happening, to protect us from this invasion that Mayorkas has created. So this was a recent article that really upset me. This was on June 29th. Biden's border chief claims power to admit more illegals. He's trying to say that he has the power, the authority, as the Department of Homeland Security, to let more people into the country than the limits that Congress has placed on that. The article says illegal immigrants who are caught and bussed out of the country can use the CBP One cell phone app to get government permission to re-enter the United States, Mayorkas declared on June 26th. You hear what he's saying? Illegal immigrants who are caught and bussed out of the country can now use the CBP One cell phone app and apply and get the government position or permission to come back into the country. If an individual, a caught individual, has agreed to and been returned voluntarily to Mexico, are they eligible for a CB1 appointment? They are, he told a reporter at his tightly managed Tucson press conference here in Arizona on June 26th. They don't want to actually bar people from coming into the country. This is Mark Krikorian, the director of the Center of Immigration Studies. They just want the illegals to be laundered through the CBP One process, and this enables them to do that. This CB1 phone app is absolutely, I guarantee you, against the law. CBP One is a smartphone app that allows migrants to request entry into the United States via an official gate dubbed a port of entry. Mayorkas' deputies use the process to give a parole legal status to illegal economic migrants. That legal spin helps Mayorkas provide the migrants with the work permits that they need to pay off their smuggling debts and to bring up their family members. Mayorkas, who was recently impeached by the House, also suggested that he has the legal authority to raise the inflow of paroled migrants via the CBP1 app, regardless of immigration numbers set by Congress in 1965 and 1990. The number of appointments that are permitted through the CBP1, approximately 14 to 1,500 a day, and they are based on the capacity of our ports of entry, he told a reporter. They are antiquated ports of entry that are also in need of funding to modernize them. Mayorkas's current flow of 1,500 per day adds up to almost 550,000 a year, or one illegal immigrant for every 7 American births. What he is saying is, if Congress gives us more money for improving the ports of entry, we will wave in illegal aliens even faster into the country, which is the objection Republicans have been making all along. This administration has created a parallel illegal method of letting people into the country. There are twice as many illegal aliens coming in as legal immigrants. So this ad hoc, bootstrapped immigration system that they're creating is twice as large as the actual legal immigration system. So Mayorkas is perhaps the most powerful member of Biden's cabinet. He is strongly backed by Mark Zuckerberg's Forward.us advocacy group, which represents the interests of West Coast investors. And the investors gain wealth and power when the government pulls in consumers, renters, and workers from foreign countries. Mayorkas argues that the more migration is an economic and moral necessity, regardless of the damage it does to ordinary Americans, the U.S. economy, and the countries that lose their migrants to the U.S. economy. For example, Mayorkas says he supports migrants and claims the core founding principle of the United States is equity, and that he is building an immigration system that ensures equity for migrants who wish to live and work in America's homeland. He is absolutely a moron and a treasonous man, and I still can't believe that the Senate approved him into this position. But, you know, he's not an elected official. He was put in that position by a vote in the Senate. And I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of way to go after him for not upholding his oath and for being treasonous to the American people. There's got to be a way for something to happen to him when this reign of terror ends in November of this year. We can't keep letting this man go on and on and on like this. This was an old one. And I don't know if you guys heard about this, but an illegal was arrested after kidnapping and raping a 14-year-old female. And this was back in June, on May 15, 2024. And this was in, I think it's Iowa, West Plains Police Department. This is the Ozark Radio News. The police were made aware of a juvenile female who had been kidnapped and raped. While talking to the mother of the victim, officers were able to determine the mother had no idea the incident had happened, stating that she thought her child was staying with a friend all weekend. So he's refused to talk about the victim. And since he was detained, he was charged with rape to the second degree, child kidnapping, as well as getting a warrant for detainment from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for being an illegal alien. He is currently being held on a $100,000 surety-only bond. Just, you know, another story that kind of went under the radar and we really didn't hear much about. But what, you know, on this day of independence and us gaining our independence from England and trying to make this a beautiful country, you had our founding fathers who put together the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and look forward to a harmonious way of living in the United States, a land of laws, but a land of rights that the citizens had. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, all, you know, the Second Amendment, all of those things that a lot of people in other countries don't have. And this was the vision of the founding fathers. And so it's pretty hard for me in the position I'm in, having lost my son to an illegal criminal, and all of the angel families and angel moms on this day of independence, to think that we've had elected officials who have gone ahead and just let this sort of thing happen to our beautiful country. You know, and if any of you are paying attention and see some of those videos from downtown New York and the crimes that are happening, and just what I was showing you, the video from the New York Police Department about the Venezuelan gang, there's tons of these people in the United States. And there was just a video that I watched the other day where like 3 different boats full of illegals. One was in San Diego, one was up near Santa Barbara, I believe, and another one was somewhere a little further up from San Diego. But they have these speedboats, and they're coming towards the shore at high rates of speed. They just go up into the sand. The boat empties out. These guys run into the neighborhoods, and like the reporter who was showing this video that somebody had videotaped from their balcony on their home watching it happen, was saying, with this CBP One app, why do any of these people have to do that sort of thing? Because maybe they're afraid to go to a port of entry, because maybe they'll be found out that they're on a terrorist watch list, that they've killed somebody somewhere else. I mean, those kind of criminals do worry about that sort of thing, and that's why they come across the open borders and they don't go through a port of entry. So it's pretty scary to watch this and see those guys in these boats come up, and I mean, they're all dressed in black. They have their faces covered, and they storm the beach and go up and disperse into the neighborhood. Pretty scary stuff, because we don't have any idea of who these people are. Anyway, I was only going to do a half-hour show today, and so I'm going to get ready to sign off. I've got some signs that I need to go put up and some business that I have to do with my campaign, but I did want to check in with you all and have some sort of a show today. I hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July. I hope that you spend a wonderful day with your family and friends. And last but not least, God bless America. And I'll see you all on Tuesday.